Welcome back, guys, to the Occult Gaming channel. It's me, your host, Bellard Wright. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about something a little bit different. I want to talk to you guys about a Marvel property. And this one is that canceled EA Black Panther game that apparently was going to be out a few years ago that would have had an evolved version of the Nemesis system. So I have no information about this. I didn't know about this game at all. I'm just stumbling upon this article that I found on GameSpot. I'm sure you guys have probably heard about this. I'm sure, like everything else, I'm late to the party. I just kind of want to go over this article with you guys. I'm going to have the link to the article down below if you guys would prefer to read it. This article is by Eddie McCouch. And again, it is on GameSpot.com. So I did want to go over this because it sounded like a really awesome idea. And it did remind me of that Amy Hennig led Avengers game that's going to be coming out through EA as well. So that put that on my radar once again, because we haven't heard anything about that game since last year, I believe. And I just checked out that trailer and that game looks awesome. So I'm going to be keeping up with that game because Amy Hennig is one of my favorite writers, of course. Wrote Legacy of Kain, went on to write Uncharted games as well. But yeah, just kind of want to go into this with you guys. Ignore the B-roll footage I got up. That has nothing to do with this particular game that would have came out. But just wanted to put something Black Panther related up on the screen. So getting into it, apparently this Black Panther game was in pre-production for about 4 years. And that's the reason it was actually canceled through EA. So EA confirmed this week that it had canceled its upcoming Black Panther game and closed developer Cliffhanger Games. So according to that Bloomberg report, Black Panther was apparently in its development when the company chose to axe all the games that it had in development for extended periods of time that weren't making progress. Black Panther was included in that. So also in that was games such as another Apex Legend, maybe a spinoff, I'm not sure, and also Titanfall, these games by Studio Respawn. So EA was just kind of clearing house, just making some, clearing out, untying its financial obligations to these projects, and Black Panther just ended up on a chopping block. And the cool thing that I'm seeing with this story is that EA's Black Panther game was actually gonna use some ideas that were in Shadow of Mordor. So the Cliffhanger boss, his name is Kevin Stevens. He ended up working on Shadow of Mordor before he moved over to work for EA. He was actually going to include something of a Nemesis system. Now, for you savvy people out there, a lot of you guys know that the Nemesis system is currently, I believe it is it patented? I believe it's patented. Patented, copyrighted, or trademark, one of the three. I believe it's patented, if I'm not. If I recall correctly, I can't quite remember at the moment. But this game, this Black Panther game, was going to have something similar to that. So apparently the playable characters were going to be T'Challa, Killmonger, and Shuri. Each of them vying to become the new Black Panther. So that's already an interesting story. Making Killmonger playable is actually very interesting. And this is actually, I believe, when did that Black Panther movie come out? Was that like 2 years ago? So this was even before that. So maybe these ideas were kind of formulating at the same time. These ideas to make Shuri the main Black Panther and things like that. And I think she was the Black Panther in the comics at one point as well. So the idea behind the story of this game, the conflicts of this game, were that players were going to fight against the Skrull shapeshifting aliens. And apparently they were going to come to Wakanda as imposters to try to, who knows, take it over or what have you. We don't know these details. They would have just been imposters. Who would have actually tracked player behavior. And this is going to be how that Shadow of Mordor system comes into play, because based on what you do around these scrolls, that was going to affect how they remembered you and how they learned your particular behavior. Very similar to the orcs in Shadow of Mordor. Whereas with the orcs, that was more so, that behavior was more so like combat related, like how you approach them, your kind of win-loss record against them, how you fought them, those sorts of things were remembered. But in this one, it sounds like all sorts of player interactions would have been recalled by the scroll. So that's super interesting. I'm actually upset, even though I'm not a huge EA fan. I'm like probably on the spectrum of people who don't particularly like EA, though they do have great games from time to time. But yeah, I think this would have been a hit for them, depending on how that gameplay turned out. But if the gameplay was solid, like the moment to moment combat, and it had this system into it, sounds like this would have been a knockout. It might have even been like a Arkham level success, maybe. Who knows? Who knows? I would like to see what that multiverse looks like with that particular game being created, released, and how that would have even changed the gaming industry. But one of the reasons why the development has such a hard time, took such a long time, is because the developers were having difficulties trying to figure out like what made Black Panther, what made him special, and not for themselves and not for like the audience, but for the studio executives, for the management, and that sort of thing kind of slowed things up. But also the team was a new team and they were trying to build the team up as they were like coming up with this like new idea. So it was like a little too much happening at the same time. So that's why everything was like so slow. And it sucks that this didn't get made, because I think this would have been a pretty good project. But the cool thing is we still do have an interesting Black Panther project on the horizon. And that's some of the footage from this trailer I'm showing you guys is from that Marvel 1942 game, or not sure of the year, but that Marvel game, 1943, I'm sorry. Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra. That looks really good. That may have even inherited a little bit of this DNA into that game. And like I said previously, Amy Hennig is heading it. So I'm looking really forward to that. But dang, what would a world have looked like with a Black Panther game with the Nemesis system? I'm super curious about that, and super disappointed that this didn't get made. But then again, I've been kind of not keeping up with gaming news. It probably would have passed me by anyway. I've been missing all sorts of awesome games, just trying to get back into them. So appreciate you guys for watching today. Hopefully you guys have well, I want to ask you guys, like, have you guys like heard of this? If this is your first time hearing about it, let me know what you think about it. Do you think this would have been an awesome game? Do you trust that particular studio? Do you trust that particular creator? Do you think they would have knocked it out the park? Do you trust EA? Does that system sound appealing to you for a Black Panther game? Loads of stuff to talk about with this. But yeah, go ahead and get the conversation started down below. Appreciate you guys. If you guys can, leave a like on the way out. Go ahead and subscribe if you like that sort of thing. I also do have a Patreon down below as well, so you guys can support me on all those things. But for the most part, yeah, just let's talk about this. Super curious about it. And super curious to know if you guys are interested in Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra, or if you guys are just kind of done with Marvel, ready to move on to the next thing. So again, appreciate you guys. Want you guys to take care. Till next time, everybody. Peace.